So creating value today is not simply about the quality of the product or service we deliver. It's very much about the quality of a firm's conduct, both internally and externally. With more consumers, more noise from brand messaging, and more people invested in the stock market, there is greater transparency to these elements. So it's easy to see then how a trust deficit will ultimately slow long-term growth, regardless of favorable macro indicators. Advertising and marketing can amplify the success of a great design, but they can rarely compensate for a poor one. Here, trust is a function of brand messaging lining up with the actual interaction with the product or service. When brands now have to speak to an increasingly diverse global consumer base, design is critical to delivering a consistent experience and calling attention to innovations. There's another reason trust is really important. We know that the statistics on successful innovation are not great anywhere in the world. An estimated 65 to 80% of innovations fail to meet even internally driven success metrics. So like people, brands need a community of friends to offer suggestions, call out missteps, and help a company change course and refine its offerings. Only trusted companies are likely to have this luxury in a crowded marketplace. And I think we can see that there is a relationship with the first and second point. Trust really helps us with the fundamental building blocks for innovation inside the company. But it's the trust that we have with our consumers that lets us do things like co-creation, which many of our speakers have touched on, and help us actually create a success of the innovations we have. So trust in brand leadership is also a function of the many quiet decisions some of the leading companies make about their own values. It's Apple saying that it will not accept apps for pornography. It's SC Johnson going beyond the industry standard to be more transparent about the ingredients in their products. It's the Tata Group retaining every single employee and hotel contractor after the 26/11 attacks while the hotel was being rebuilt. And more importantly, the issues that companies have set their sights on today require an unprecedented degree of collaboration. Delivering great brand experiences means that Nike and Apple have to figure out a way to collaborate. And when we talk about addressing issues like sustainability, poverty alleviation, or security, this trend is only amplified. And therefore, a conscious effort and investment in building trust is something we should all turn our attention to.
The design element and the technology element and story are critical, as you say. And so we're working very hard to separate ourselves from a technology perspective. So with Figo here, we were first in the segment to launch Bluetooth, for instance, in a segment where value for money is a very strong focus and a very strong brand builder from a trust perspective. What we did was spend a huge amount of time with the consumer prior to the base design and engineering of the product. So we spent hundreds, thousands of hours with the consumer who purchased in that segment, understanding their needs, their wants. And what we found, and we actually changed our base premise of what we would include in that product, we actually we found that technology was a tremendous differentiator and an attractor for consumers, even in that price-conscious segment that we moved into with Figo. So we actually, late in the piece, after significant research with the consumer, put Bluetooth in our product, which was a differentiator first in the segment. And finally, I think what we've really done in our launches, we've moved away from brand ambassadors as Bollywood stars or cricket stars or whatever. We haven't used any of those in our Figo or Fiesta launches at all. We've used the consumer.